Welcome guys, Brandon here from Terminated Gaming, and once again we're back on Transport Fever 2. And actually the restarting of that, the Brandenburg build. I notioned to this in the last episode and probably the episode before that I kind of wanted to restart the build. I didn't like where it was at, and that's what we're doing today. So this time we're going to be rebuilding it in a hopefully, fingers crossed, better fashion. I've put a little bit more thought and effort into this one, and actually looking at some rail designs and stuff like that in order to try to make this a little bit more realistic, as realistic as a video game can get, and with some creative liberties to make it a little bit more playable. But of course, not going to be like perfect. So here you're seeing me build a rail station and all that jazz, but I'm going to decide quickly that I don't want to have that rail station there. I'm actually just going to have the industry be right here by the docks. So basically the train deliveries that we were going to plan in the original start of this are not going to take place, because that just didn't seem perfect, like the way I'd like it, because of the location of where Brandenburg is in this. It wouldn't have made any real sense. Like here, it's like, where's the town going to go if I use this end terminal? So basically what's going to happen is we're going to have all this industry right here, all these, well, industry, by that I mean like the factories that actually produce the goods that the game require, are going to be right here by the docks and going to be transferring in and out through that little location. And trying to fit all this different stuff in here is a little difficult. We're trying, but it's not. I don't think it's going to work. Anyways, basically what's going to happen is these, the dock is going to bring in all the goods that are going to get processed here, and these goods will even be used within Brandenburg itself, be transferred by trucks into the main part of the city. Of course, we're going to do our standard thing that we saw in the first 3 episodes of this series that before it got reset, was I'm going to pre-build the road network that I would like to use before I place the city, so that way it integrates that road network, so it has a little bit more grid-like structure, and then the organic stuff can kind of build in between. Of course, I'm still trying to figure out this rail station. We're no longer going to have a cargo station, it's just going to be a passenger station right here. And we're going to not spawn in any cities for a while. I don't think we actually spawn in this city until next episode. It's been a little bit since I've recorded this. Because the way I do these is I sit down for an hour and play the game and record that as one episode. So it gets shrunk down, sped up 4 times to 15 minutes in length. And that's kind of the basis of these episodes. It creates that little bit of a consistency with the length of the episode, being right around 15 minutes, plus or minus, a minute. And it makes it easier on me, because then I can just record for an hour stint. I find some sort of either like a Netflix series or YouTube videos. Like recently I've been watching like train wreck videos, years after. I can't think of the person that does them, but he does a really good job. And I really enjoy watching those now. But, yeah, I use those while I play this, so that way it gives me something to listen to while I'm building. So here is the only train station that will be on this area in Brandenburg, and it's the central train station, and I think I called it that. And I believe it actually will get more rails, I'm not sure. And here I'm actually going to use some structures that we got in the game that are, great for situations like this, which are roundabouts. And I'm also going to put in the central tram station right here, so that way traffic can be routed around this train station in a fashion that helps, minimize the congestion, along with we were going to try to plan to have bus stations or tram stations located by commercial instead of residential, to try to reduce emissions. So. And here you're going to see me spend some time trying to get this road network the way I want it to look. That is easier said than done. I think, I use these tram stations here to judge a little bit of distance. And it's not going to be perfect. I will admit it's not perfect at all. It's just the closest that I could live with is what I'm trying to do here. Of course, if I wanted to make this even more efficient of a roundabout, I'd have like one-ways coming off both directions of that roundabout, but I don't. I didn't also make that roundabout very big, so it's a centralized little thing that'll make the town or the city a little bit better. You know, try to ease on traffic and whatnot, because traffic's another part of the game that you have to try to avoid and fix. Of course, in the early game, like, your cities don't grow very far outward. They're going to grow up. Well, they'll grow outward in earlier stages of the game. So if you played the game from the 1850 start date, where we are playing from a later start date, where skyscrapers are invented, and you can actually, just your cities will grow up first before they grow out. In the early game, your cities will grow out more than they'll grow up. So if you really want your cities to look great, you want to try to play the game from that start day. I know it's a little difficult, and I did it for simplicity because I wanted to build all those systems into the game to start with. It's harder to plan a city from that, because you got to think too. Back in their day, they didn't think airports were going to exist and all that kind of stuff. So that's why some airports are in really bad locations. But that's why I start from this, and I can plan out the size of the airport, where those are going to be located. I don't even know if I actually put the airport in yet. That might be one of the things I need to do here. Oh, I do spawn in Brandenburg today. But this will be the only city spawned in the map for a long while. The rest of it's just going to be industry and all that kind of stuff. And like the passenger transfer, and actually just the rails in general, I've made it, finally figured out, and I refuse to watch any tutorials on like what people have been doing to do what I do. And I found, well, by just pure accident, and watching these train videos, is they have sets of 2 rails in larger areas. In like where I grew up, I'm used to just single rails, like just one. You can either go one or the other way. You can't go both ways. Whereas, like, think of it as a road. It's just a one-way road for the rails where I live. Whereas these roads go back and forth. So instead of having one set of tracks, have 2, one going towards the station, one going away. And then they transfer once they get to the station, so that way they can go in between. And then on the rails they have signals, so that way trains can keep going, even if there's a train ahead of them, because they can get to their station, get out of the way, and let the other train come through. So you'll see that here when I eventually get this sorted. I have to put out the tracks first so we can create the junctions and whatnot. So I'm just trying to formulate how I want to do this and make it simple. Here I'm connecting up the rails. I don't know if I think this changes. I'm not sure. Or this might be how I did it, to make it try to look as nice as possible. And yeah, here you're seeing me do the one-way signals, but I'm also doing these waypoints. But I don't think we'll end up needing those waypoints. I think they might accidentally get deleted, and then by accidentally I mean they won't ever come back. So it's kind of on purpose then. But I do it in I don't even think in America I think the trains might actually travel on left rail. The right-of-way is on the left rail instead of on the right, like we drive. But I might be mistaken. But I decided to just keep it simple and do it like how the roads would be, where everyone's driving on the right, the train's on the right. I don't know, that's just what my mind kind of thought of. I was like, this seems important. Another aesthetic thing that I thought of doing was having the railroads go with the direction of traffic on the roads. So you have the 4-lane major roads that are going to go between the cities, having the trains going in the same direction as the road. So on the right side of the road, the trains are going along with the traffic, and then on the left side, it's going along with the traffic. I thought that would be kind of cool, but very impractical, because you're going to have transfer points between the road, and it's not going to work very well. I mean, we'll see. We might do that later. Here we're adding in our tram stations for the central portion of the city. Like I said, it's gonna grow past this point eventually, but for now, this is literally all we have. So some of these tram stations are gonna be kind of useless. And in my original thoughts of how to build this, I was gonna have a centralized location for the trams, and then it takes you outward towards the train in the airport. Whereas with this, the centralized location's right next to the train, but it's not really centralized to the area, if that makes any sense. So here I'm just going in and trying to fix some of these road positionings so that way they're not making as many junctions, because that slows down traffic. And we're just trying to make some less junctions is what I'm trying to do here. And then, okay, yeah, I do the airport, and I put it on this side. I don't know why I chose that side. Yeah, honestly, I couldn't tell you why I chose that side. And then I go in and smooth the land so it doesn't look as tacky. And we do all passenger ports. I don't know if that's going to be working very well. Granted, in the earlier stages where you have a large demand but small planes, you have to have more planes to make up for that demand. Whereas now we have the bigger planes, so we can have less planes and hopefully not have too much efficiency problem with a large airport like that. We'll see. Because most of it's going to be by rail transit, near Brandenburg, whereas the airport's going to only really take you to the more distant locations and probably the hubs of the other areas, because I'm kind of avoiding the passenger ferries at this point. As you noticed with that dock layout, I put no passenger terminals, I don't believe. I think it's all cargo. Kind of like I didn't use any cargo planes. I might experiment more with the cargo planes, because maybe they might actually be very useful, but I really can't. You gotta think of large scale movement of goods, which airplanes in the earlier stages of the game are not great at doing. So here I'm building onto the other side of our rail station and just going to mirror the look. So we will only have a maximum of 4 rails. But as I was thinking about that when I was building it, and that's coming back to my head, this has been a week and a half since I've recorded this while I was thinking about it. It's 4 rails, but like I said, the tracks come from both directions. So we could technically have 8 different routes terminating there and, turning around or whatnot. And I might try to do that with some realism. You do have push-pull trains in real life, but the problem with Transport Fever is it just causes the front of the train to magically spin around and go back the other way. So I'm probably going to put on the passenger lines a train on both ends just to make it look a little bit more realistic. I know it probably won't come off like that, but we'll see. Because the goal of this is to make it more realistic, more good looking than a base game where you're just trying to be efficient. So in that you wouldn't put the second train on there. I don't actually think there is any bonus or benefit to putting 2 trains on 2 engines on a train in this game, but if there is, just let me know. I'm curious actually about that. We are coming close to the end of this episode. I am going to run the simulation here because I'm trying to force the industry to move south, and you're going to see this through these first 3 episodes of the restart here, and probably even longer than that. We're going to try to be forcing commercial onto those main roads where the tram stations are, and we're going to be trying to force the industry towards the dock. So just making sure that I don't run past the episode, because I'd hate to do that. We have not too much longer left of it. But like I said, this is the restart to the same series. I'm not going to change the episodes or anything, so hope you guys have enjoyed. If so, it would be much appreciated. I'll catch you guys most definitely on the next one. Peace out.
Shut up and sit down.